Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the APPF podcast, where today we will be interviewing Juliana. And she has a practice out in Richards Bay. I've only recently gotten to know Juliana, and we've worked together for a couple of weeks on management. And I'm really enjoying speaking to her because she comes with a very fresh, new, spunky look to audiology and to running businesses and being really excited and passionate and full of energy. So it's just the right person for us to get a little bit of Vuma and chat to someone that's new and fresh and young in the industry and see what types of challenges that she's found in running a business and starting a business and what she's passionate about. So welcome, Juliana. I wanted to start off by just saying that we are really privileged to have you on management and with APPF specifically working and helping with the marketing side of things. So we're all learning a lot, especially us old crusties. And so I wanted to start off by just asking you to tell us a little bit more about you.
Cara, thank you so much for that introduction. I do feel quite fresh and new, and I feel like I've got so much to learn. I must say the starting of a practice was just made so much easier and lighter and more fun, knowing that I've got such an amazing backing from APPF, and it's just been such a good journey for me, such a positive journey. So I'm based here in Richards Bay, and I'm actually originally from Cape Town. So it's been a wonderful, sometimes interesting transition from Cape Town. It feels now as if Cape Town is like Europe when we compare it to KZN, but it's been a wonderful journey. I'm married to the love of my life. He owns a coffee shop here in Richards Bay, Merrinsea. So I drink very good coffee every day. And yeah, it's just been so lovely to open my own practice and see patients and do what I love.
Juliana, so I would like to know since you started opening up the practice, how long ago has that been, and what's your passion in audiology, your area of expertise or your clinical priority in audiology?
Say, Brent, that is, yeah, I'm actually in a very fortunate position where I can say that I opened my practice in September last year, and I know a few years from now I can say, 5 years back I opened my practice and look where I'm at. And the wonderful thing is that I've already seen massive strides that I've made since last year, December. And once again, I can owe so much of it to APPF and the support that I've had from this organization. So, yeah, I know that I'm still in the process of defining my niche, and it's happening sooner than I thought. I always really enjoyed spending time with the oldies, the more mature folk in town. But I started noticing that I see a lot of children as well. And I think it's from going to schools and chatting to teachers and chatting to parents. But growing up, I had a processing difficulty, an auditory processing difficulty. And I never understood it. My parents didn't understand it. My teachers didn't understand it. But they ended up referring me to an audiologist. And the sad thing is that this audiologist didn't know anything about auditory processing disorder. So what she did was she tested my peripheral hearing. So she checked to see if my outer ear is working properly, my middle ear is working properly, and my inner ear. So all of that worked fine. Everything was fine. But what she forgot to do, or maybe she wasn't equipped, maybe she didn't go for further training. But what happened was that she never questioned my processing ability. And what ended up happening was that it was overlooked. And for so long, I had to compensate for this processing difficulty. So what happens is that when we can't process sound properly, is that the sound doesn't travel from our ear to our brain. And in our brain, that's where all the magic happens. So for me, that magic didn't happen the way that it was supposed to. So in varsity, we started learning about Central Auditory Processing Disorder. And I realized that this is something that I struggle with. For the first time in my life, I felt so understood. And now I'm starting to see how children come into my practice and their parents also don't understand. They don't understand themselves. And when we get to a place of diagnosing a processing difficulty, and we get to a place of being able to move forward, there's just so much freedom in that. And yeah, I just feel like it's an amazing privilege. It's almost like I get to help my younger self reach more goals. And it's amazing how I still ended up being an audiologist and I excelled academically somehow. But yeah, that's something that's very, very close to my heart. So even though it's still something that I'm honing and I'm learning, I know that every patient that walks through my doors gets my full attention. And I know that I've got an amazing mentorship team that if I feel uncertain about something, like the other day I reached out to Cara and I said to her, listen, I think this lady might actually need a cochlear implant. Now, nothing to do with auditory processing difficulties, but she had a very severe hearing loss. And it was the first case that I had with someone like that. And I knew that my own experience isn't going to help this lady to the fullest of my abilities. So I know that I can draw from a wealth of knowledge in that regard. So I'm very, very excited for my journey ahead, and I know that I've got a lot to learn, but I'm very passionate about doing what I love and doing it to the best of my abilities. And when my abilities aren't enough, I reach out to those who have those abilities.
Thank you. It's so special also to meet people who have had a connection somewhere or another in audiology in their lifetime, you know. So you battled with something and you eventually found the solution for yourself, unfortunately. And it just shows us that we are forever learning and we're forever growing, we're forever changing, we're forever evolving. And I think that that's one really positive attribute that you have, Juliana, is that you're okay to say that I might not know something, and you're okay to draw from others and learn from others. And it's not a lot of people in this world that are capable and comfortable with doing that. So I think that's a really, really positive attribute that you have, and it shows integrity and maturity and passion for wanting to do the right thing. And I think that's always what I get from you, is that you want to do the right thing, and you want to do the right thing for your patients all the time. So with that in your heart, that you will have a very successful practice. So we from Seiler and the rest of APPF, we wish you only the best growth and success in Richards Bay, and who knows, maybe you'll branch out to Europe in the future. Did you study at UCT?
Yes, so I studied at the University of Cape Town. Very fortunate to study there. I was there while they had all the protests and everything happening. So at times we couldn't even do all of our clinical blocks, but we eventually managed to get everything that we needed. Yeah, I had wonderful, wonderful educators there at UCT. So I was very, very fortunate to be able to study there.
Your APD that you had, was that one of the reasons? Cara mentioned, you know, it's so nice that you had a connection to audiology, but is that one of the reasons that you eventually studied audiology?
My journey to studying audiology had nothing to do with me having APD. I didn't even know that I had APD. I was almost the class clown in a sense, because I would always mishear what my friends were saying in class. So it was more a joke than anything else. I was fortunate to be in a wonderful school and I had wonderful friends. So I think it could have been a lot more limiting than it was for me at this stage. But to be honest, I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I was in matric. I just know, well, I knew what I know now, and that is that I love helping people and I love being able to work with people every day. So when I was in the decision-making process of looking at what to study, I just knew that it had to do something. I had to do something with people and helping people. And my parents have quite a technical background then in IT. So I knew I wanted to do something with technology as well. So it's interesting. I I really believe that God was guiding me in a sense, because we were praying and we were trusting that somehow it would just fall out of the sky. I was so indecisive. So what happened was that my mom had a dream about a ringing bell, very random. And then she told herself, okay, bell ringing, that has got to do something with hearing. So let's send Juliana to go and job shadow an audiologist. And I still went to a practice in Wynberg. We drove all the way from Stellenbosch to Wynberg. And yeah, I sat with this audiologist and she was quite stern. very, very good audiologist, and nothing about her personality invited me into audiology. But I saw how everything just changed as she started seeing a patient, and she was busy with a fitting. And it also wasn't a wow moment, but something about the patient feeling so understood by this audiologist just drew me in. And I think back then I also didn't really understand how profound it is what we actually do. But now that I get to sit on the other side, and now that I get to see patients, I know that it was almost like a divine intervention because I know now that this is what I'm supposed to do. I love working with technology, I love working with people, and I know that in our audiology handbook, I don't know, you must also have it, it's that cat's handbook. And in the introduction, it says that audiology is a combination of art and science. And now also I see it's also counseling. And I love all of that. So I think that dream that my mom had must have had some sort of significance. And there were times in my career that I really wondered whether it really was what I'm supposed to do. But I stuck to my course, and I am really enjoying what I'm doing now, having my own practice, seeing patients, seeing the immense difference that it makes in their lives. Yeah, and I think communication is extremely important. And when we think about hearing, we think about one of our top senses. I don't think we always think about it like that. When I see a patient, I ask them, what do you think about your hearing? What is hearing to you? No, it's how I understand people, and it's how I sometimes even understand myself. So it's just like our eyesight, hearing is also a sense. So if we think about it that way, when our hearing is impaired, we actually have impaired communication. And if we have impaired communication, how are we supposed to relate to others? I think I have the best job where I can help people communicate better with loved ones and just with the environment. So I think back then, I didn't understand how important it would be, but now I do, and I'm still understanding. I'm still in the process of seeing new areas of how important hearing is. So I hope that everyone gets to a place where they have that aha moment of how important hearing is, because then I think everyone will go and rush to an audiologist and make sure that they have their hearing tested and that they know what their hearing health status is. Just like we know, okay, our eyes need attention, our teeth need attention. Just like that, our ears also need the proper love and attention, because if we don't, then we lose touch with loved ones and we lose touch with ourselves.
Your passion oozes out of the screen, honestly, Juliana, it's lovely. I wanted to ask, so obviously we've spoken to a number of colleagues who have been in practice for a very long time, and you're probably one of the youngest youngest and freshest that we've chatted to. So instead of asking what would you tell your 21-year-old self, which you told me is probably about a couple of months ago, what would you tell yourself, or how would you see yourself in 10 years' time? Where would you want to be in your career, in your profession, in your practice? Where could you see yourself in the future?
Sure, Cara. So when you asked me, we went through a few questions, and you mentioned that about what you would tell yourself as a 21-year-old, and I realized that it's actually already 5 years ago. And yeah, I still feel like I'm 21 though. When I thought about that, and you're asking me this question about 10 years from now, I know for a fact when I was 21, I didn't allow myself to dream big. And I realize now that I am far exceeding my own expectations from myself from when I was 21 years old. For 10 years down the line, or even 5 years down the line, I want to dream big. And I want to, so if I close my eyes, I see a bigger practice. At the moment, my practice is quite, I think it's a nice size. And I love what I did to the place. I wish I could show you around. I made it beautiful. And if I think about what I want 10 years from now, it would be even bigger and even just more capacity for the community, so that I can see everyone that needs my help. I think I would love to reach more people. I would love to expand the awareness that I bring as a practice to the community, because I'm so aware that I think even in your community, Cara, and your community, Sabrant, people don't know what we offer. So I would love for my practice to be an explosion of making people aware of how important their hearing is to them. Bigger practice, but not just for me that it's big, but for the community, so that they can also see my passion, that they have it for themselves, that they can do something about their hearing for themselves, not for me, not so that I have a bigger practice, but so that they have more access to the services that we offer.
That's great. I want to know from you, since we've used the words many times now, young and fresh. I want to know from you, we always ask this question, and we're going to keep asking it because it's really interesting to hear the responses. Looking at the changing landscape of audiology, over-the-counter hearing aids, and so forth, what's your take on it? Is it, do you see it as a threat starting out now with a practice? Do you see it as an opportunity? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I must say, when I joined APPF, I was blissfully unaware of where our landscape was at with over-the-counter hearing aids. And then I started doing some research, and I realized that it could very much well be an opportunity more than it could be a threat. Because the fact of the matter is that our patients need care, they need hearing care. And what we offer sometimes could be out of their reach. So I know for some of my patients, they may be more able to afford over-the-counter hearing aids, even though it might not be what is best suited for them. But I think if it's something that's administered by the professionals, if we don't make it about the product, but we make it about what comes along with the product, and that is the audiologist, then we're going to open ourselves up to a new world, and we're going to open our patients up to a new world where hearing is something that everyone can attain, even if it's not the best for now, that it's a journey that they're starting to embark on, that they feel actually my needs are also being taken care of, that it's not just about the most expensive or the top of the range, but that it's something that is attainable for our patients. I do think, or I know for a fact, that over-the-counter hearing aids will not be addressing all of our patients' problems and issues, but it could be a starting block. I'm just thinking to myself, imagine we have a set of over-the-counter hearing aids in our offices, and we are able to make a comparison for our patients that want to inquire about it, so that they can see for themselves. It's not my audiologist trying to trick me out of having something that's cost effective. It's just about my audiologist wanting the best for me, because that's what it's about. It's not about the product ever. I see a lot of patients that come to me and they say, Juliana, I spent so much money on this set of hearing aids and it's just lying in the drawer. Or they know a friend whose hearing aids are just sitting somewhere in the cupboard and they spent thousands of rands on it. And I think it's quite cliche, but I've seen it to be true. And that is that your hearing aids will only be as good as the audiologist that sets it in for you and that walks this journey out with you. And I do have patients that don't enjoy wearing their hearing aids at first, but I know that it's on me to make sure that they understand what they need and that they journey with me through the process. And I do believe that if I keep on doing that, then they will find benefit from having hearing aids and they will start wearing their hearing aids. So I love explaining to my patients that it's about the journey. It's not about what we can do right now. And I think the focus of over-the-counter hearing aids is about the right now. So we need to take that out of the picture and make it about the journey, make it about the relationship that we have with our practitioner and not just about a quick fix, a cheap fix. We need to make it about the journey, which we spend a lot of hours and just research on. And I think that's what it's about. It should be about the professional experience and taking our patients on a journey.
It's great. It's great to have a stance on audiology and one's ears, that it's the hearing aid or the device on the ear is only going to function as well as the audiologist who fitted it. So that's what I strongly believe in. And I also feel that patients that are coming into your practice are going to be very different from the patients who are going to be wanting to buy online or over the counter. And so this may bridge the gap. and allow people to still go that route and feel that they're in control of their hearing healthcare, but also have a person, like a touch point of someone in the area who they feel comfortable with getting advice and assistance if it doesn't work out for them. I wanted to ask you, Juliana, what has been the most challenging experience for you thus far in owning your own practice or in being an audiologist? I know that you've only had your practice for 9 or so months, so it might not have been within the practice, but what has been something that has been really challenging for you as a person and as a professional, and how did you navigate it?
Yeah, well, I think, like you said, Cara, I've only been open for so long, but it has come with its own challenges. And I think the biggest thing so far has been to remind myself that I'm worth I'm worth the service that I carry that's in my practice. So for me, it's always challenging to get a patient through my doors, and I see that they might be struggling, or I want to do something extra on top of, you know what I mean? We sometimes make it about the relationship and not about the fact that I still need to keep my doors open, and I still need to make sure that I stay profitable. So I think that's something that I'm still learning how to do. But I have an amazing support network that keeps reminding me, listen, Juliana, this is what you studied. This is the service that you offer. And I actually had a patient, a tiny patient coming to me, and he asked his mom, Mommy, are we paying this lady? And his mom said, yes, of course, honey, we are paying her. This is her job. And as he asked it, I was like, this just feels, it feels so much like a friendship in a sense. It feels like a relationship that you're building up with someone. And to separate the two and to remind myself that yes, this is something that I wake up in the morning. As much as I love doing what I'm doing, I need to remind myself that it's still a business in a sense. So I've tried to separate the two, where my receptionist can deal with the bills and I can just focus on doing what I love. So that is the one thing. And the other thing has also got to do with just making sure that I keep myself on top of my administration work. I can't just see patients, I need to also do admin. But that's just, yeah, that comes with the whole thing.
Juliana, so you mentioned briefly that there were moments that you thought, I wonder if this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And, you know, we all have those doubts. I think no one is ever immune with that in any career. I want to know from you, what's been a defining moment or moments where you thought, yes, this is what I'm meant to be doing, and I enjoy what I'm doing, and what motivated you to carry on?
I like that you said, Sabrant, you asked me about moments, because I've had many of those. And one of them was when I was in varsity. So I mentioned that I was very indecisive about what I wanted to do. And I remember I came home from a clinical block, and there was this audiologist in this hospital that was just, we just, ons het koppe gestamp. We didn't see eye to eye. And I came home and I just felt, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I wanted to call my mom and say, let's call it a day. And it was the strangest thing. There was this Pronutro box on my desk. I was in a residence at UCT, and this Pronutro box was standing on my desk where I study. And I remember just feeling so downcast and just wanting to stop. And I don't know if you know that they sometimes put these little snippets on the Pronutro boxes. And I'm a compulsive reader, so as I was sitting there complaining in my head about what this is all about, something caught my eye on the Pronutro box, and it was a snippet from the Calder Toy Center for Cochlear Implants. And I was like, oh Lord, this is now just you showing me that I must just keep going. It's safe to say that I didn't have the best experience in varsity. It just felt like a lot of learning, sometimes not enough learning. There was a lot that I had to learn independence and learn that, okay, this is maybe what we're focusing on now, but there's more. And I think I had one of those moments again in private practice now recently, where I saw one of my patients, and you know, I have these moments with all of my patients, I think even with the difficult ones, where you realize, oh man, you really are making a difference. And it was one of those cases where she came in after a hearing aid fitting. It was 2 weeks, following up with her after 2 weeks. And I remember the first time she came in, she had all these bangles around her arms. And you could hear her before you could see her, because she had some around her ankles as well. And she was cling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling as she walked in. And I asked her how it went after her wearing the hearing aids for 2 weeks. And she said, Juliana, you will not, I can't explain to you. There was this whole part of me that I wasn't even aware of. I could never hear the cling-a-ling-a-ling of the bangles that I was wearing. And then I started asking colleagues about it, and they said, "Yo, man, that's how we know that you are coming through the door. We can hear you before we can see you." And it's like a part of herself. It's a very practical thing, but it's a part of herself that she never noticed. And it's this trademark thing about her. It's almost what makes her her. And she missed out on that. And now that she's wearing hearing aids, obviously there's other things that opened up for her, but it was a small thing that really pulled on my heartstrings for some reason. And I must say, I'm very grateful for that Pronitro box, because I don't know, maybe I don't think I would have stopped, but that Pronitro box was my little saving grace. And if it wasn't for that, then maybe I wouldn't have been part of that whole Klingeling story. And I know that there's still a lot of those stories waiting for me. And a lot of my patients are also going to have their stories written on their hearts, where I can kind of co-author a bit. So I'm grateful for that. I'm happy that I never stopped. I'm happy that I held fast to what I believe is a destiny that I'm walking in.
Well, I certainly am so blown away, actually, by your energy and your positive outlook in life and in audiology, and wanting to save the world. And keep that in your heart, Juliana, for as long as you possibly can. Keep those sentiments close to you, and you will always succeed. People will resonate with your personality, and they will be attracted to it. And when you have the best interest of patients at heart and the public at heart, you know you're doing the right thing, and you will be successful. So from all of us at APPF, we really do wish you the very, very best of luck in a successful, flourishing, long-lasting, growing in size and in number private practice. And we are all here for you if you need anything in terms of bouncing ideas or for asking questions. We're all here to help. And I, for one, look forward to a long-lasting relationship when it comes to offering you and your patients certain services that you may not offer. And my door is always open if ever you want to come in and pop in our Belito branch and see how things go. You're absolutely so welcome. So thank you for your time this morning also, and thank you for all your input with APPF. We certainly are feeling that we are getting great benefit from having you on the team. So thanks again.
Thank you so much, Cara and Seibrand, for this opportunity to just chat to the internet and chat to you. I am really looking forward to everything that this journey still has in store for me. And yeah, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for making my journey a bit more, not bearable, but just more enjoyable. Everyone that I've spoken to about private practice said, you know what, it is such a lonely journey. And that is the opposite to what I've experienced. So thank you that you make this journey not lonely at all. And yeah, just for all of the input and your time that you put into APPF. Yeah, it doesn't go unnoticed, and I'm really, really happy to be part of it and to be able to give the little bit that I have to make it sparkle even more. Thank you for your time, and I hope that you have a lovely day.